各位观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看 JxJ 论坛，由我 Jimmy 妈妈见我们的好朋友 Jim Noteware 为我们一起讨论这个礼拜的时事。Jim, how are you?
Good. I'm doing very well, Jimmy. Thank you.
This week we've had a very busy election season. As we know, November 8th will be the day of election. Early voting will start very soon, I believe, next week. So we hopefully people have time to still go on and make sure to be registered to vote. Speaking of voting, we have a very surprising endorsement from the Houston Chronicle, which is the only newspaper here in town now. You talked about it, and I was very surprised too. Could you tell our audience a little bit about who the Chronicle endorsed in the county judge race in Harris County?
Sure, happy to do that. The Houston Chronicle was the only general circulation region-wide newspaper. It's been in town for a very, very long time. Houston only has one general circulation newspaper. The Houston Post folded about 30 years ago. And so Houston Chronicle is the only general news. And it has a reputation, despite Texas's overall reputation as being quite a conservative state. Each of the big cities in Texas tend to be very liberal in their orientation, very democratic. And the Houston Chronicle is almost by definition a Democratic newspaper, has a Democratic editorial policy, etc. What the Houston Chronicle did this past week, I believe it was, or the week we're in, I believe it was Tuesday, is decided to endorse the Republican candidate for county judge. This is a very surprising and very significant issue. Many people have thought that the Chronicle would endorse the incumbent Democrat for county judge. And for those people from outside Texas and outside Houston, the county judge is not a judge in the typical judicial sense of overseeing a courtroom and making civil or criminal decisions. The county judge is an administrative term for the top elected official throughout the county. It's this way all throughout Texas. When the Texas legislature long ago created counties, they created a structure for every county of a county judge, which is the chief administrative officer elected. And then there are 4 precincts which operate collectively, but also separately to provide local public services, usually outside the parameters or the boundaries of incorporated cities. For instance, in Harris County, you have Houston, you have Pasadena, you have a number of other incorporated cities. Everyone in the county, whether they're in the cities or not, vote for the county judge and their county commissioner individually. But generally, the county only provides services outside the boundaries of the cities. Within the cities themselves provide it. Houston provides roads and streets and sewers and police and fire, etc. The county provides those services outside the boundaries. But nevertheless, there are regional organizations like the Toll Road Authority, like Metro, which runs our bus and transit situation. And of course, there's school districts. So there is a whole lot of crossover of public services. For instance, the city of Houston has a very large police force, and the county has a county sheriff and a series of constables, all with overlapping authorities. But primarily the constables and the county sheriff provide public safety services outside the incorporated cities. Okay, so why is this so significant? Historically, the city of Houston has been Democratic, and historically, the county has been Republican. That changed beginning with the election of President Obama, where the entire county, even the Republican areas outside the city, voted to support or voted to elect President Obama in 2008 and 12. And they have voted Democratic in every presidential election, the entire county, ever since. In 2018, there was another earthquake politically where the longtime Republican county judge, a man named Ed Emmett, who had served for many, many years, at least 12 years, possibly 16, I'd have to go back into history, and all of his predecessors were Republicans. Now, Mr. Emmett was and is a fairly moderate guy. He was prided himself on working across the aisle, not doing partisan things, not making partisan statements. He believed that things like fixing roads and running a toll road authority and financing the public hospitals are not partisan issues. They are there to provide services to the entire county. However, in 2018, it was an off-year election from a presidential standpoint, but President Trump was so unpopular that there was a great surge in Democratic turnout for all the elections, including county judge, as well as 2 other commissioners' seats. And the Republicans in county judge, including Mr. Emmett, the longtime incumbent, were thrown out of office, and a very young Latina woman named Lina Hidalgo, a native of Colombia, very bright, immigrated to the U.S. when she was a child, obviously fluent in Spanish, went to Stanford, did extremely well, and then found her way to Houston. She was 26 or 27 years old. She was the only one brave enough to challenge Mr. Emmett. And lo and behold, for a lot of reasons, she was elected. And at that time, another county commissioner's seat also changed parties. So the Republican-dominated county commissioners' court that had been 4-1, 3-2 in Republican favor for as long as anyone can remember, immediately changed to 3-2 Democrat. And there began a lot of changes in the delivery of services, particularly over flood control, management of the public safety, the sheriff's office, the county jail, etc. And at that time, too, in 2018, all judges, now I'm talking about judicial judges, are elected. They're not appointed in Harris County, and through most of Texas, judges are elected popularly. So what also happened in 2018 and also occurred during 2020 election was almost, I think, total Republican judges to run the courts were thrown out of office and replaced by Democrat judges. The county attorney and the county district attorney are also Democrats. The county attorney deals with civil matters throughout the county. The district attorney deals with criminal matters. I'm going into all this detail because it is extraordinarily important for everybody and
to understand that what is going on.
To understand what is going on and why it's so significant. So, full stop on the description of what's going on in Harris County for a moment. I will come back to it. Meanwhile, over the last 2 or 3 years, racial tensions across the country have intensified, especially following the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis in 2019. That called for many people for enhanced racial sensitivity, defunding the police, changing the nature of the delivery of public services, particularly public safety, particularly fire, and as well as police, homelessness, and it changed many budgeting decisions throughout the country on a local government basis. Cities and counties began to change public priorities, particularly, and what happened in Harris County in 18 and 20 was not unique to Houston, was not unique to Texas. In fact, it happened in places like Minneapolis, Seattle, all across the country, things changed. Now, and so what happened was the public policy priorities of Harris County dramatically changed. Then we had the pandemic, which also created additional tension in the delivery of public health services. So what happened was a wave of changes, including changing the public priorities of paying for police protection, reducing public safety budgets, and probably most importantly, when it comes to criminal justice and crime, what I'll call, and I'll be charitable about it, call bail reform. In other words, reduce requirements, in some cases eliminate requirements for bail for someone who is arrested but not yet convicted. So what has happened is many people who have been arrested for crimes, especially violent crimes, have not been detained in jail. They are out on the street, and there are horrific increases in crime all across the county, not just in difficult neighborhoods, but all across the county. And I can go into many examples of that. And what has happened here in Harris County, as well as throughout the country and other suburban counties around Houston, is crime, particularly violent crime, which is murders, rapes, armed robbery, carjackings, all of the things that we see and hear on the national news every night, particularly related to Chicago, etc. But Houston's violent crime has spiked and stayed high. And so what has happened is everyone, I will count almost everyone, is very concerned about it, whether they're the direct victims of crime or not. Everyone is aware of problems increasing. Public safety is a great concern. Shopping centers, office buildings have had to pay extremely high increases in operating expenses to employ additional security guards, and even that has not stopped things. People have been accosted in shopping centers, homes have been broken into, people have been raped, and of course, murders literally everywhere in the county. So what's happened is the public is outraged, just simply outraged. And they, for, in my opinion, very good reason, are holding the administrations of the city and now most pointedly the county accountable for all of this. And in my opinion, it is perfectly predictable that the public sentiment, political sentiment, is changing radically. Even people who are independents and who are even within the Democratic side of the political spectrum are becoming very concerned about crime in their neighborhood. And this reaches into, to use the term people of color, some of the greatest, loudest, most consistent calls for increased police presence in neighborhoods are within the African American and Hispanic communities. They are suffering the worst effects of this rise in crime, and their political choices and political requirements are changing. So to come full circle, and you've been very patient to listen to me going on with all of this, but to come full circle, there is a broad wave of political sentiment that says we need a change. We need to go back to the way it once was. And I believe that not only does the Houston Chronicle feel that as well, but they are also listening to the political drumbeats that are in the hearts of their readers, and they are reflecting the concerns of their leaders in making this editorial. People who are like me, very conservative, we gave up on the Chronicle a long time ago. It doesn't, the Chronicle's opinion does not really matter much to us. However, we understand where the Chronicle's opinion really does matter. And I believe their change to endorse the challenger, a young lady named Alexandra Miller, over the current presiding judge, Lina Hidalgo, is a sea change. It reflects an absolute sea change. And I believe it will be very impactful in the independent and democratic areas of the city. And I believe it will create, or I should say, enhance the momentum that is favoring the challenger, young Miss Alex Miller.
What are the polling numbers showing right now?
Well, full disclosure, I've been a supporter of Alex, no surprise, for some time. And a lot of business leaders, in fact, almost all of them that I'm aware of, are very much a supporter. All law enforcement, except the elected county sheriff, who's a Democrat, happens to be a friend of mine, Ed Gonzalez. He is siding with the partisan side of things, and I can understand that. But his deputies organizations, all the constable organizations, the police unions throughout the cities are all lined up for Alex Miller to throw him out. A couple of friends of mine and I co-hosted a very significant fundraiser for Ms. Miller this past Sunday afternoon. We had a wonderful turnout, great momentum. She quoted during her prepared remarks that an independent poll had been taken. I believe it was by the Chronicle, but it could have been by the League of American Women Voters. She said that she is polling 55% to 45% for Lina. That too is very significant. So the momentum is building. And she also said two very important additional things. Number one, 6 families in Houston have pledged to her campaign $500,000 or more each. That is at least $3 million in a campaign. And the other thing she said is 99.5% of her money comes from businesses and individuals in Harris County. Lina Hidalgo has raised very little money in Harris County. Her money is coming from New York and California. And that too is a very significant situation. I can go into more details, but suffice to say, my impression is, and I've been surprised by this, that the polling is now favoring Alex.
So that's quite a lot of information. I want to tell our viewers that this is important to understand the significance of the county judge position here in Harris County. They oversaw, I forgot the number, tens of thousands of county employees. The budget itself is rivals some their counties. I mean, they're more than major cities here in the state, and it wields significant responsibility and power. So
Harris County is the size of the top 35 states in terms of population.
So the budget and the power you will is over some. So this is like a statewide election as for the governor.
Yeah.
So let me go back to this.
Sure,
I'm not involved in neither of the campaign, but I do know the spectacle and embarrassment. The county constables, the sheriffs, showed up yesterday at a county county court hearing and booed the county judge off the courtroom. She literally had to leave. They showed up in force. But I do want to counter. I want to give our viewers a different perspective.
Okay.
When you talk about crime, and from our very controversial county, that our district judge, not this district DA, our district attorney.
District attorney. Every county has a district attorney.
Yes, our district attorney, DA, and what you mentioned about bail reform. I don't think we talked about it before. Yes, what happened in Minnesota with George Floyd, with BLM, significantly changed the outlook. A lot of the community, a lot of the cities, for example, in Minnesota, that ones that defund the police, the people that are saying that, we call them the two East Coast or West Coast liberals, extremists. Some of them don't live there. And even the ones that are on the state council that are calling for it, they're not the ones living in these neighborhoods that need policing. So you're right. The minorities, the people that are affected most are hoping for more crime prevention, for better training for law enforcement, right?
Yep.
So they're the ones being hurt, and it's happening here in the county too. But the question I always ask when people say this is very easy. Every time a Democrat is elected, the same narrative from the right is always, well, crime rate is going to be worse. People are being out in jail. What makes you think? I'm not asking you specifically. I'm asking the audience. So if this was a Republican in power in the county judge, crime rate will be better. It will not. I tell you what happened. The last 4 years, you're absolutely right. From BLM, low morale, not enough officers, period. There's just not enough officers. And the officers that are there has low morale because they're being sued. They're not being protected. Secondly, the pandemic happened. I'm not trying to justify this crime rate. The crime rate has gone up in every city, period, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Now, is there problems with our current county judge? There's too many. I mean, good Lord. I think we mentioned before the corruption accusations and the, but then also you can also say, well, is there some sexism involved? The fact that she is not born here, the fact that she is a woman, because, the argument was she's not experienced or that she was not qualified. First of all, she's not supposed to win. I mean, it was a shock. So, but like you said, in 2018, just like every midterm election, is always a referendum on that new White House elected president. It always will swing back. Just like when Obama was in office, Republicans swept in 2012. Let me say 2008, so 2010 and 2014. Just like 2018. But look at what happened to all these judges, not county judges, but the actual courts, lower courts, civil courts that got swept into office. It was all Democrats. Look at what happened to them. Majority of them lost in this last election, in the judicial election. A lot of them got lost. So the pendulum will always swing back. Is this an issue with Alexandria? No, this has nothing to do with it, because she also is not somebody that is in the system. She also is a great candidate. She came from investment banking background. I mean, I know of her. She's not somebody that is that's ever ran for office. She's bringing a clean new image with no baggage. This is not about her. And this is really about Lina, Miss Hidalgo.
Right. Actually, I think it follows our presidential voting, where people vote against someone more than they vote for someone, which is a very interesting comment on politics and candidates and everything else. But that's what's going on here. Alex, of course, and again, I'd say I'm a big supporter of hers. I think she's a fantastic candidate. But most people are motivated by throw the existing bums out. That's
and now, do I deny we have a crime issue? I do not. I believe the bail system. We talked about it before, how judges have to follow bail. Didn't we talk about it 2 weeks ago regarding how bail is set and what guidelines they have to follow? How it has to affect whether you want to listen to the community to lock someone up or afford this defendant the same rights. Because now a murder charge is still a felony compared to financial crime that's felony. Well, they both have to be set the same bail. It's very hard, because I know a lot of judges and they struggle too to follow the law, because they could only they don't get to interpret the law. They have to follow it, right? They have the sentencing. It's the legislative here, the federal level and state that sets these laws. But going back to county judge, I don't know what's going to happen with this election, but I do understand this is very rare. I mean, for the Houston Chronicle to do this, that means there's a lot of discontent and there's a lot of issues with that office. And I do understand how crime has affected all of us in Houston. I mean, we hear it, right? You don't even have to watch the news, which I don't watch local news anymore, to know that's affected all of us. You know, the shootings, unsolved crime, robberies, like you said, is bad. It is bad. But I don't think this is a Democrat issue. I think this is an issue that's going to affect all of us. And I hope whoever gets into that position will do something about it and try to fix it. This political grandstanding and showboating is not going to work. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And any overcorrection is a problem. Crime has always been a problem in big cities, inner cities. So, Jim, we as usual, we always end up running out of time, but we are going to have a very, very busy next few weeks. So I hope our audiences.
We will.
We will have candidates on the show to discuss for the next few weeks. I hope everyone tunes in. And Jim, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a safe week, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, Jimmy, thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. 谢谢各位收看。
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Be vigilant and be aware.